Okay, welcome to Sweat Equity. This is our first episode, and who else could we have on this podcast but Patrick, the co-owner of Dynasty Gym. So I'm thrilled to announce him here today. He is a gym owner, a weightlifting coach, a personal trainer, a husband, a father, an NBA statistician, an amateur ball player, a movie aficionado, and the number one Kanye fan. Welcome, Patrick.
Happy to be here. Honored to be here. Honored to be your first guest of Sweat Equity.
Patrick is obviously the best first guest because this is where it all started for us, right?
That's
it really
right.
was our big gym moment here is where we started. So, okay, so let's start off with Patrick. Who are you and what do you do? Let's let the audience know.
Well, I think in your intro, you already described who I am to a T. Husband, father of two, owner of Dynasty Gym, weightlifting coach. I spend most of my time these days hanging out with my two boys, coaching a little bit on the side, and just making sure the business runs smoothly.
Very well. And to cap that off, I forgot, we do whiskey and chats here.
Better do it up. Pour it up.
Chop it up. Okay, so let's go on to our next question. Tell the people something that they don't know about you.
Well, you sort of briefly mentioned it, but I spend a lot of time. This is like my quirk. So I really like lists, like especially rankings. So whenever there's like Time's 100 most influential people ever, like I'm all in on that. Or like Rolling Stone 100 greatest like rock bands. I would study the list. I would see
and you would try to organize.
Yeah, and then I would have debates with myself because no one else is going to debate me. I'd be like, why is this guy on top of this guy and stuff like that. So I make my own list right now.
You can go on Reddit.
I'm currently working on like a greatest. Well, I was working on like the greatest basketball players list, and I spent like a good 100 hours on that.
Holy shit.
And it's like never ending because it's not been final. And Hannah's always making the ongoing joke of like, if you just spent all that time and energy like studying the stock market, we'd be rich. Which is probably true, but my heart's not into it. So I'm into this this question that you would never find the answer of ranking the greatest basketball players.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
That's funny.
Kick things off.
Okay. Big question everyone wants to know. How did you get the nickname Fatty?
Started in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Started with this hat that I made for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was in LA. Trucker hats were big back then.
It was yellow.
In style.
It was
yeah.
yellow.
Went to a kiosk in the mall, and I just told them to put this label Fatty on a trucker hat. Started wearing it, and then so it's kind of like self-anointed, but then everyone started calling me Fatty.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of grew from there. But the funny thing about Fatty is, no one knows exactly how it originated, or they all have their own story.
Yeah.
So depending on who you ask, you might get a different story.
Because whenever I introduce yourself, I'm like, oh, this is Fatty. They're like, Fatty?
Yes. And a lot of times people have gotten in trouble calling me Fatty. Depending on where you are.
Let's go back to the beginning a bit. And why don't you tell us how you were like as a kid? How were you as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up in a family of 5. I have 4 sisters. I'm the second youngest. I have big families, like lots of cousins and stuff like that. Grew up just liked playing outside. Really liked playing sports and being active. That was a big part of my childhood. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, what else do you want to know?
Were you entrepreneurial as a kid?
No, but I liked being the leader. Like, I liked being the captain of teams. You and I captained a Strathcona Hockey League in the lunchtime.
Vicious.
I always loved being the captain. Like, I wanted to be the one picking the teams. So I had more leadership qualities in me. Yeah.
How did we first meet?
We met in school, Strathcona Elementary School. At the playground. I don't think we were in the same class until grade 5.
Mm.
But then in grade 5, you come over to my house every single day in the summer.
And you broke my back wrestling.
And I broke your back putting the sharpshooter.
Yeah. So back in the day, we used to go to his house and we used to wrestle. And one time he put the sharpshooter on me and cranked down so much, I swore my back cracked and I thought I broke my back.
Pretty sure I fractured a vertebrae with you.
I think you did. I think you did. Why don't you, we'll fast forward a bit, and how did you get started in the industry? How did you get into it? Like the school, all that?
So, in finding a career for myself in high school, the only thing I was interested in is sports. I really loved hockey and basketball back then. So I thought the dream job for myself was going to be Vancouver Canucks strength and conditioning
That's like
coach.
any fitness person wants to be like an SSC coach.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go like even further back, every kid just wants to be a star. But obviously that's not realistic, right? So for me, I thought, how am I going to pair my, my education with something that's kind of sports related? So I decided to study kinesiology at UBC, and then see what kind of opportunities would be there when I finished.
And when you finished, like, what did you do? Like, how did that?
So when I finished, so I wasn't gonna do physio school or any grad school like that because I wasn't that great in school, and I didn't have the appetite to continue studying.
But you were good at school. Like, I wasn't good at school.
Yeah, I was like, good, but I wasn't great. Like, it's very competitive. You need to,
because I'm not good at school at all. So like for me, like I need to study. Like I got to go 150% just to pass.
Yeah, but like with you, as with anything, if you have a goal in mind and like if you really want something, you could do it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's the same thing. So it's like I don't know if I really want to be a physio or whatever. Yeah. So I started just training people part-time as a trainer. And that paid off my school tuition and stuff like that.
And then what were your jobs? So you were just a personal trainer. Like, how did you progress before we actually get?
So my first job in fitness, I worked for Fitness on the Go, which was a startup company in Vancouver, and their whole concept was, instead of going to the gym, they bring the gym to you.
So but I remember that you drove a smart car.
They gave you a smart car, and it was branded Fitness on the Go. You have all your equipment in the back. I had a big physio ball in my back seat and bands and tubes and dumbbells. Drive to the client's house, train them, right? And I did that for, a year or two and built my clientele. And then I decided to, branch off on my own. And, I started posting ads on Craigslist because that's what we used back then. I'm a trainer. I have this education. I can help you. You reach out to me. Got a couple clients through that.
Oh, nice.
Got a couple clients through word of mouth. And then that's how I was a young buck. I was a teenager, 19, 20, 21 years old.
And then you're on your way.
And then at that time, I literally agreed to any job that I could get. I've worked for people. I've worked on my own. I've worked as a contractor, as an employee, in community centers, at rec centers, at big box gyms, at smaller PT studios, you name it, I've been there.
That's good.
Because I wanted to see what the industry was like. And that sort of gave me a good idea of what I knew what it was like here. I knew what it was like there. And then, every little piece of info that you get, you can use it on later in life. Right.
And then I guess that leads to like what everybody wants to know is how we started Dynasty Gym. So let's go back to the beginning of how it all started. So you started working at Fitness Town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this was when CrossFit was in its infancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just became a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're training because, that's what we did back then. We worked out and hung out. And I remember you saying, hey, you should do CrossFit.
Yeah, so I started in CrossFit first, but you were strong, you were an athlete, and I was like, hey, you should do CrossFit. Showed you what CrossFit workouts were like. And then you would come to Fitness Town because we had a little gym in the back, and you'd do CrossFit, and you were pretty good that you made regionals the first year you did CrossFit.
Right. That was
regionals
2011.
2012. Yeah, we did a few local competitions before that.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and then I remember there was a snatch ladder.
Yeah.
Right. And how much did I snatch?
145 pounds. 145 pounds, and all the top guys were snatching at 185 pounds, which is a joke now, right? To both of us. But back then, that's kind of what you needed. So then we were kind of at this sticking point.
Yeah.
We were like, hey, to be better at CrossFit, we should either improve our gymnastics or weightlifting. Those are the two skills that will get you ahead of the game, right? So I actually looked up Googled all the gymnastics places, called every place.
Yeah, they never got back to us.
They never really offered anything like what we're looking for. Like, we were in our mid-20s.
Yeah,
then.
it's all kid stuff.
It's all kids. It's hard to find. So started going down the weightlifting list. Call. Someone picked up. Oh, it's Dan Gadd. Shout out Dan Gadd.
Ultimate weightlifting.
Our first coach.
Cheers to Dan.
Yeah, so we started lifting there at SFU at the Bog.
Mm-hmm.
Me, you, Mike Chang,
Josh.
There's
one more guy. Tim.
Yes. So it was like 5. The original 5.
Yeah.
And so we started there, and because you being who you are, you wanted to grow the club. So we made T-shirts, right?
Instagram.
We did the Instagram account. By the time we left, I think it was like 12 or 13 lifters.
Yeah, that's how we started coaching. Right?
That's how we started coaching.
That leads into how we started coaching.
Because we started mentoring the younger up and comers within the club.
That's right. And then we actually started liking coaching, and then that's how we got started. And then I remember Andy C.
He was one of the early ons.
He was one of the early ons.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So if we're jumping the timeline there, so I already quit my day job, okay, because I knew I wanted to take this weightlifting thing seriously.
Okay, so let's pull this back with this. So where were we at the coaching before you decided to do all that?
You were a firefighter,
yeah,
and I was working at a gym, and at the gym I was working at, I was doing personal training. I did some CrossFit coaching, but it was a CrossFit gym, and I started a weightlifting class there. We called it Weightlifting Wednesdays.
Yes, I remember that.
It filled out right away. 1 class became 2 classes, plus a waiting list.
And then we started doing seminars too.
We did seminars.
That's right. I remember coaching at those now.
And then so that sort of gave me a proof of concept that if I were to open my gym, that it would work. So some stuff was going on in my life, but I decided to quit my job cold. Because we were going to open a gym.
Yeah, we decided we wanted to open up a gym.
We looked at places.
Because and then we were looking at places, and also we were running classes at other places too, right?
Well, yeah, so
at that time.
In the meantime, in the interim, before we actually sign a lease on a place, we wanted to get the weightlifting club up and running.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, we don't have a place yet. So we would rent from people that I knew.
Yeah.
I'd contact Driftwood, rent from them a week. Enhanced performance. We didn't literally call up every single place and be like, is this something that we can work out? And
then we got it to how many classes were we running a week at like the peak of the pre-gym? I think like 4 classes a week.
Something like that.
Like 4 classes a week.
Yeah, something like that. So one of the places that we were renting for was down the block from my then girlfriend Hannah, now wife's place, in the West End in Vancouver. It was called Tactics. So I just wanted a place to work out and train at. Started going there for a couple weeks, and I was like, hey, this could be a place that we could run our weightlifting class from. Approached the owner and, worked out a deal. And then we started training people, and other people from that gym saw how busy our classes were, and they joined in. So we were joining people, and at this time, remember Jai was driving down from White Rock.
Oh yeah. We had so many people coming.
Everyone was coming because we were the only one doing this.
We were the only one doing weightlifting like open, like more open.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the ones were little clubs.
Yeah.
Crappy times, old cranky coaches, like just different, right?
Yeah. And then we were offering it we were making it accessible, and there's not many that you can find in Vancouver, and there was a need for people wanting to learn Vancouver.
Especially because CrossFit was really growing at that time.
It was really growing at that time. Yeah.
Okay, so then now that we were coaching at this at Tactics, then how did we get in? How did we end up getting a hold of that gym?
So because we were already looking for our own places, right? I think just a light bulb went off in my mind. I was like, why not this place? Why? Why I was thinking that? Because this place wasn't being run like it should. We saw the potential of it. It was big.
Yeah.
And it wasn't full, and it wasn't busy. There was a time when I went in, and there was literally a piece of paper on the door saying, we'll be back in like 15 minutes. And I was like, man, if I own a gym, this will never happen. Like I would never.
And then one of the partners left, that's when we had the opportunity to like make an offer, right?
But it wasn't even that. It was still our idea to make an offer.
Yeah.
right? We just approached the owner with the presentation and everything.
Yeah, we went over.
Sat down in his office, and I remember Anthony had a daughter back then. I was like, I'll put a little slide of a little girl on a swing.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the presentation, I'll just
so
be
you can
like,
spend more time.
I'll just be like, you don't have to do anything because we want to actually run this club like 100% ourselves.
Yes.
So there's less stress on you. You can spend more time with your kids. Perfect.
I remember. I wish
remember
we
that.
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah,
actually.
I probably have it somewhere in my laptop or something.
And then he took it.
He took it,
and we got 49%.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that we had a lot of meetings with other people, and they all say the same thing. Oh yeah, I was thinking of buying this place, and it was like, it's like when you say that, it's like, what does that mean? Like, what do you want me to think? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we came across a lot of people that like said they had an opportunity to own the gym.
Right, and it's like, okay, but you don't. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they're trying to like say to us. But yeah, so we bought in 49%.
That's right,
right? Because we didn't want to go in.
And then we basically had to like mortgage the house, like beg, borrow, and steal, right?
Yeah,
like,
I borrowed a loan from my dad, and
that's right.
Took out literally my life savings.
Yeah, same thing here.
I sold my place, literally sold my house, and to put it all into this business.
Yeah, we took that big risk, and luckily it paid off. But we took that big chance at the time. That was a lot of money back then. Yeah, well, it still is, but that was a lot. I mean,
and then, so what happened was we grew it.
Yeah,
like within
6 months.
6 months to a year, we almost doubled the membership base.
Yeah,
and then Anthony, who wanted out anyways, approached us, and he was like, do you guys want the rest of it? And obviously we were like, yeah. So we had to scour some more money and get some more loans, and
then we are where we are now.
And where we are now.
Yep. So that's how the first step taken place, and then we ended up owning it, like the whole gym and running the whole thing. What has been a highlight moment for you for the business?
Ooh, a highlight moment. Honestly, when I look back at it, I'm gonna say the parties.
Yeah.
Well, because our vision was to build the community.
Yes, it was.
Right.
I remember. I knew we made it was when we were on our boat party.
Yes.
That one time, and we're like, man, look at all these people that love the gym that we want to create for them.
Yes.
And they're all having a good time. That was like, what for me, that was when I knew like we like did it.
But even like the licorice party, our Christmas party.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it was jam packed, rubbing shoulders to shoulders. And that's what it's all about, because if people believe in you and they want to be a part of your community, they're coming out to your events.
Yeah.
If nobody shows up, then you know you don't have a community.
Yeah, and well, that's one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to open up a gym, was because of community.
Exactly.
Right. Speaking of community, how did we get such a great community? Like, how did that happen? Right. People always ask that too, right? Because everyone's always like, "Oh, your gym has such a great community."
Well, I mean, the first thing is we put that as our vision, our mission statement, right? Like, we want to be inclusive to everyone.
Yeah.
We want you to feel welcome, no matter if you're elite or you're never stepped foot in the gym. We want you to be part and equal to everyone else. And we want our programs and our coaching to be the reason why you come in, but we want you to make friends, and that's the reason why you stay.
Yeah, I mean, and that's testament, because like how many marriages, relationships, friendships that's come out of the gym, right? Countless.
You?
Yeah.
Pal Maria.
Yeah. Lots of people.
Yeah.
So I think we're successful then, but it really comes down to, I think, what the management or owners push down, because I've been to different gyms and you can see the different attitude of different communities. And then when you meet the owners, you're like, oh yeah, I could see like why it's like that.
Well, yeah, it's
interesting, right?
It's the message that we keep repeating ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. As the business has evolved, where do you see it going next?
We are constantly just, evaluating the landscape, and we like to take a lot of surveys and take a lot of polls and give what the people want. So if one day, like literally a meteor strikes the earth and nobody wants to do CrossFit anymore, then we'll be quick to adapt. But we will obviously, our passion is to grow the sport of weightlifting, which I think we have done a pretty good job of. Definitely. And we're going to continue to grow it as well, mixed a little bit with what people want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's passion and there's business too, right? And if you want your business to survive, you need to see the winds of where it's blowing, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it may not be where you want it to go, but if you want a business to survive, you may have to go that route or figure out a different situation.
If it works within your skill set, like if you think,
course.
Yeah, it's close enough to what we do,
mm-hmm.
and I think we can pull it off, then you just got to go ahead and make that decision.
Where do you see the fitness industry going right now with market trends?
So, with CrossFit, it's sort of kicked off this kind of functional training / interval training, like F45 and stuff like that, high rocks, right? So it's still going to continue to, go in that direction. But we're still going to continue doing what we excel at, which is barbell sports and CrossFit.
Nothing fancy.
No.
Just good old fashioned.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge that we faced, or even for you, in running a business? I could tell you mine.
Okay, start with yours.
It's finding the right team members, staffing.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's so hard to find the right people that fit what you want to build.
Yeah.
That also believe in what you believe in.
Yeah.
But when you do find those people, you got to treat them like gold.
Yeah.
But because we've been in business, we're in the gym, 8 years now, 8.5 years. We're fine. I think we finally found a team that is amazing
mm-hmm.
and fits exactly what we want for the community and for the business.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a long time to get there.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna change the question that you asked me. Is what I would change or what I have learned.
Yeah.
Okay. So I agree with you. The biggest thing is finding the right partnerships, people to work with. And I would say that instead of making the circle and trying to jam a square peg into it, what I would have done is instead see it as a square peg and then carve a square, so then that square peg can feel like, they're doing exactly what they're meant to do. So you're kind of extracting the best of who they are, their skill set. So just kind of putting people,
take their essentials,
put them in positions
that's right,
that they can excel in.
Not a position that we need.
Not the position not the idea that we have in mind. Again, it comes back to the adaptability.
That's right.
Right?
But a lot of entrepreneurs aren't able to think like that.
No, even a lot of workplaces that I've worked at, it was more like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Like, no, they don't really hear you out.
Yeah.
So they don't really take your ideas with no grain of salt at all. But that's kind of what we do differently.
That is true.
Right? We like to sit down with people and we like to say, where would you like to be in a year and 3 years? What are your dreams?
Yeah, I feel like the way we run the business, or especially gyms that we've met, is we want to know what our team members' visions are for either themselves or even the business. And we're happy to listen and help them achieve those goals for their own personal growth. Because we see these other places and I feel like the owner has an agenda and that's what they want to go.
Well, that's what I feel like is missing. You know what I mean? Because I left a lot of places before because I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? So if you want your people to stay, you got to make them happy and you got to hear them out.
Yeah.
And it's not you got to kind of shove your ego aside and sort of be willing to see their vision too, and see if we can mix their vision into your vision.
Yeah, because I feel like if you can do that, everyone wins. Because
exactly.
They're growing, you're growing, the business is growing.
Exactly.
Everyone's winning.
Exactly.
Right? And then everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Right? The biggest thing is we want a happy workplace that can foster the community that we want, because that will make our members happy. If our members are happy, then the business will be happy.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds simple, but it's actually really hard.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you a story. Like, it's not like I want to just open a gym. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like my dream was to, like, you know, run my own business. I'd be happy working somewhere if I could run my, let's say, my own weightlifting club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that's literally what I wanted to do. But, you know, at the place where I was before, I wasn't supported in my dream or like that. So it's sort of like a missed opportunity, but you know, I'm at a better place now, but it's kind of forced me to, you know, go into this business venture, which worked out to the best for everyone.
It's funny you say that, because I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I would like to own, like, I need to have my own thing.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why we work well as
right?
a team.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
We complement each other, right?
No, I'd be great as a number 2 at Google.
yeah, I'd like to be number 3 at Google too. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Okay, so business is hard, right?
Is it? Really? That's what they don't think. Some people don't think that.
Well, I think more people are thinking in terms of not the reality, but the dream of being a business owner. The fact that they can call themselves a gym owner, the fact that they can put that in their Instagram bio, and when they talk to friends, they can say, I own a gym. But the reality is, if you're not good at the business aspect of it, you're not going to be a gym owner very long. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not like everything that we touch turned to gold.
No.
Right? And we've had successes and we've had failures too. Right? So, and it takes work. And we understand that you need to sacrifice a lot of things in life, right? If you really wanted to make it work to aspiring, you know, you have to put every ounce of it. Like, are you willing to stand in the corner and literally knock on doors or talk to people? Yeah. Because that's what you need to do. How hungry you are. Right? You need people coming in the doors. If you're doing good, then you can sit back a little bit. But if you're aspiring and you're just starting out, you need to do it.
Yeah, because my biggest piece of advice is the same thing. It's like, you can't control your talent because that's God-given, but you can control how hard you work. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's how I live by, because I don't think I'm that talented. I just think I work really hard. And I think if you work really hard, you can get somewhere. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, if you come up with a guy that works just as hard who's talented guy's going to win. Yeah. And that's because they're better than you. And that's life. But I think a lot of people don't work that hard. So I feel like if you work really, 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 really hard, you can at least get to a place of success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at you. Firefighter, gym owner, got into real estate and doing pretty good at it. Rookie of the year, right? And that's just because you're hungry. You want it. You talk to people. You try to see how you can help them. If you're afraid to talk to people, you ain't helping anyone, not including yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. So yeah,
we always tell our managers, you got to give that personal touch. You can't stay away. If people put a black smear on the word sales, it's not a bad thing. All sales is I really want to help you. I think I can help you, and in the end, it's going to be a win-win. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to put it.
I'm not trying to sell you some,
snake oil.
Yeah.
And this is where like it goes back to like your core beliefs, why you're doing something. And I think that's really important. If you're just there to make money, you're never, it's really hard to make it because you're not going to have the extra drive to push through. Yeah. But if you have a reason why you really want to do it, if you're really trying to help people, then you're not selling anyone. You're just trying to help them. And it's a win-win for everyone.
No. I think, people are scared of rejection, or they're feared of like, oh, they're going to think I'm annoying them, and they don't like hearing no. Well, it makes them feel like they're going to fail.
And that's a normal feeling. But the thing is, if you're going to be afraid of being rejected, you're never going to get anywhere, because you need to knock on doors for doors to open, right?
That's right.
So, no, it's great advice. Good. Okay, so now we're going to get to the fun part of the podcast. Give me what you got! Al Pacino.
You need a soundbite for that.
I am.
Not just you.
I'm gonna get
need a soundbite
the
for
pad
that.
for it. I'm gonna get the pad for it. So for this little section, basically, I'm gonna ask you some questions, and you have to answer. And if you hesitate, you need to have a drink.
All right. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. So here's the first question: greatest hip hop artist of all time.
Kanye West.
What's your favorite gangster movie quote?
I'll
Drink.
make him an offer he can't refuse.
Drink.
Too slow.
Too slow. Who's the GOAT? Basketball.
Michael Jordan. No stutter.
I thought you'd have to think.
No
about
cap.
that. I thought you'd have to think about that
No
way.
way.
90s hip hop or 2000s? Drink. Which is Kanye's best album?
Yeezus.
Yeezus, eh?
Most people will say my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. That's what the critics would say. But for the people that do know, especially if you're like, experimenting instrumentals and stuff like that, Yeezus is pushing the boundaries.
You're number one Kanye fan.
Pushing the boundaries, it's Yeezus.
Favorite Biggie song? Okay. Okay, well, what's happening next? Like, what's going on with you? What do you want people to know? What's going on in life?
Well, I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. So, we do a lot of fun stuff, mini trips and stuff like that. And we've got, it's the same thing year after year, with the coaching and the weightlifting and that whole calendar.
Yeah, that's back.
Yeah, we have World Masters
That's right.
Championships in Vegas.
We're planning to do World Masters in Vegas in 2025.
Yeah. And I guess we're turning 40 soon.
Yeah.
So we got to plan a big powwow for that.
I need to have that thing.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Patrick, for coming on the first interview for Sweat Equity. I think we learned a lot, and I think a lot of people kind of wanted to know our story. We get asked that all the time. So I figured it'd be very fitting for this to be the first episode. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time, and keep the hustle going.
Cheers. Cheers.